Alright folks, Tuesday evening, welcome. Haven't painted in about a week. Seems like about that long. Here we are again. Picking up kind of where we left off. And I mean kind of because, well, I was working on chariots and I think I need to punt on them a little bit. I haven't done the proper research to see how exactly I want them to look. So I'm going to move to the Hordes. Because the chariot, I definitely needed to get done if I was going to play him at the show, at the event. And since they didn't make it, I ended up fudging it. There you are, Studio WGS, Mr. Wolf, all the way across the world. Welcome. And but since I ended up playing the army, I ended up using a Chinese chariot in place of them. And I'm not going to start working on any other armies. Mr. Dirk, welcome. I'm not going to start working on any other armies until these guys are done because, you know, well, to be honest with you, I ended up one of the events I had to use. I used this army. I needed to have at least one element that, and I've got something to show you, Dirk. Maybe you'll find interesting. The one event I had to use at least one element that cost 2 pips to move, and so I ended up using a couple of Hordes, and that was the event that they won. So we definitely need to paint these guys, especially since they're going to be usable for other Book 1 armies, and I've got hair here everywhere. I don't know, I guess I'm losing my hair a little bit at a time, aren't we all? And so we want to finish these guys, then we'll go back to the chariots and the camels. It might be a little bit till we get to Transylvania, but you know, those things happen. So I had a really positive experience that happened to me, and this is something that I'm going to do more of. And I am really anal retentive when it comes to my books. I don't like my books being damaged. I really hate it when I use a book and it gets damaged. So I had recently ordered a book that Dirk is very familiar with, the DBMM rules. I already have the DBMM books, all 4 of them basically for background information on my armies. And I did get the DBMM book, and it's loose sleeve, and going through it, I'm going to end up damaging it. So I watched a couple of videos on how to tear it apart and put it in plastic pages, and that's what I did. I actually took the actual rules and cut them up is probably the wrong example. I went on the spine and split them all up. So now I've got the rule book all in a binder, and it's not really that thick. It's 3/4 of an inch. So I think I'm going to do this with my other DBM books as well. Why do I have this? Does that mean I'm going to start playing DBMM? No, I just wanted to get it. I wanted to get some ideas for maybe adding some flavor to some of our historical battles scenarios. So this is for the future, but I didn't want to go through it and damaging this soft cover, just going through it. So one of the things I realized after getting this, and I have gone through it a little bit, is there's a lot of stuff that is, you know, my big complaint with 2.2 was that there was a lot of things that were just like, it seemed like, you know, well, here's the rules for this unit. You know, when you grow up and you get to play DBM, you'll get to use all the bells and whistles. And I think even though 3.0 is definitely less of that, there's still a lot of good stuff in here that I really wish was in DBA. You know, my only gripe, of course, is I can never play this because I would play it wrong so many times, and there's so much depth to it and stuff like that. But anyhow, yeah, I'll be doing this with books for sure. And I'm telling you, I was really. I wish I'd known I could have sent you a PDF. No, it's okay. I don't mind giving him the money. It's money well spent. So I'll never have to buy it again. and it's a pain in the butt. You know, when I first got the DBA book, one of the first things I did was photocopy it. Not to give it to people, but so I wouldn't destroy my copy. And then, in process of putting it on the printer, I ended up ripping one of the pages. The irony of it all. But I wish you could buy a PDF. But anyhow, this is actually this little booger here is something that's messed up on the cover, not the actual book itself. That would be sacrilegious. But I don't like things. I don't like just in the process of doing things of getting damaged. I'm anal retentive that way. So anyhow, yeah, that's book. That's there's a lot of juicy bits in there. So anyhow, I wanted to look through that and I didn't want to flip that. You know, a loose. It's just too flimsy. So. Oh well, we're probably going to do that with all the DBM books, so which I have all four. That was my Christmas present to myself. So, welcome, Kevin. You only share PDFs with people who already have the rules. Fair enough, but that way I'll use them because otherwise I would just sit on the rules and never use them. It's all good. I figured out how to do it really well, and it took maybe 30 minutes to do. You just got to be patient. I watched a couple of videos. One guy's like, take a blow dryer and then run it over it, and then the pages will loose. And I'm like, I can't do that. I started doing it at like 10:30 at night, and the girls were asleep. And I'm like, I want to get this in the sleeves today. So I just found the middle and just cut with a sharp X-Acto knife. And found the middle of that and cut again, and you just got to be patient. And you know, hey, I can do Little Big Men Studios flags. Cutting apart a book is a piece of cake. Oh, you have the army list as well. Yeah, of course you do. That would be silly not to have that. But anyhow, okay. So where were we? Yeah, it's $18 for those rules. That's a freaking steal, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I'm not made of money, but I'm just saying I'll get $18 worth of enjoyment looking through it. All right, black is still good. We're going to do some fleshy stuff. And supposedly, oh, is this the wrong color? This is Cavalry Browned. Put a stop to that before we go further. Not that wouldn't work, but supposedly not going to go out of town this weekend. We'll see. Actually, I ordered something today that is really cool. I'll show you guys after I put it together. I have a display case of that I've had for a long time. They are not on Lulu. Are they on Lulu? How did I order mine? Did I order them on Lulu or did I order them on Amazon? I think I ordered them on Amazon. The 3.0 I got on Lulu. No, I'm sorry. My original 3.0 was, well, I only have one, was from the printing, the first printing. When we had to get, I think I got mine through on Military Matters way back when. 8 years ago or however long it goes. So it may be available on Lulu. No, I like the Amazon because it says if you order now, you get it in 2 days. I'm like, yeah. I don't like to. I like to get stuff. I like to order something and then get it immediately. I like immediate gratification. But anyways, getting back to what I ordered, I had been on the lookout for a case to put my painted stuff in for a long time. I've got one and it's totally maxed out. It's not very big, but I want my things out on display. If I paint them, I don't really want them hiding in a closet somewhere. So I ended up going to IKEA last weekend, and I ordered, I think, something that's going to work really well. So I'll show you guys when that comes in and we get it all together. And what I have now is an IKEA case, but it's one that is out of production now, and I should have bought like 4 of them because it was pretty inexpensive. I think it was like $70 or something like that, or 70 or 80 bucks. And but this one was a bit more, but it also holds a bit more. So I'm not sure where we're going to put it. We may put it in this room somewhere, although it's the problem with it, it's 31.5 inches wide, so I can't put it where I wanted to in this room. So we'll see. We may put it out there or whatever, but to be continued. But I've been looking at getting one of those for a long time now, because what I'm doing now is keeping some of my figures hidden in the carrying cases. And, you know, I'd like to just bring over there whatever it is that I'm going to play, not have to shuffle things around with things I don't need. Try to make it a little easier. So, and besides, we're going to have a lot of more things that we're going to make in 2022. We got Gaslands that'll be coming up. I say that, we'll see if it takes off. I gotta take some medication, you know, some I don't give a shit pills. I don't know if they sell those over the counters, but you know, just spray paint the cars. Just put some bits on them, spray paint the cars black, and you know, not spend 30 or so hours on each vehicle. I think I'll see if I can do that. I'm my own worst critic sometimes about not wanting to take shortcuts, but you know, other people do stuff. I'm just touching up the black here before we get started. Other people take shortcuts, and you know, you don't know that they did because they're not willing to show them to you. But you know, once I know that I've taken a shortcut, it's almost kind of like I can see through the whole magic thing, and I get bummed out a little bit. So we'll see if we can hold our nose and just get some cool painting stuff down, because there's I got lots of things I want to do. I don't want it really to cut into any of my DBA projects, but we will see. We had a video last night. We had a game night. So video went up a few hours ago. You could check that out. The Dark in the Sky, showing off Joe's new army. He just got done the army of the First Peoples of the Northwest of the Americas. And some figures by Eureka Miniatures. I think they've been out a while, actually, but pretty cool army. They're doing some battles with that. Video's about 3 hours long, something like that. Check it out. Got another short video also that we filmed last night. It's not up yet. It's processing right now, so I think maybe by the time we're done with this feed, it might be up by then. Nothing huge, just a little 10-minute thing. Small unboxing there for Joe. You guys can check that out too. Joe's really good about getting something in the mail and not even opening it for like several weeks until he can come back up here. So I don't know, patience of a titan. Patience of a saint. I know way back in the day, we'd order something just to see what it looked like. And now with pictures, it's like, you know, you get immediate gratification, what they look like, or what they could look like, or at least what the poses are. Not like before. Oh, I wonder what they're going to look like. I wonder how many poses they're going to have. Are they going to be cool, you know? And now it's like, none of that ordering to see what they look like. You already know. For the most part, most manufacturers have pictures of their stuff online. Pretty easy to do if you want to. If you want to take the time to do that sort of thing. But these hordes should be able to be used for other armies. And the whole point is, if you ordered, this is a pack of, I guess it's Middle Eastern horde type figures. I mean, if you wanted to get hordes for a different army of this period, they would end up being the same figures. So, you know, what's the point? And if that's the case, then why don't you just go ahead and morph them? I can use them for different armies like Assyrians. And actually, I don't know if my Assyrians can have hordes in them. But the Assyrian army that I have to do is the later Sargonid, so I would imagine that they do. We'll paint up some of these guys. Of course, these guys are going to be wearing simple clothes. They're going to be kind of non-denominational, so to speak. Can be used from all kinds of Bronze Age, Middle Eastern type armies. All right, what do we got here? He should have totem on his camp. Well, yeah, I told him about it. Or canoe. Yep, I told him about that, but yeah, the camp that he used is, he just repurposed a camp from something else, so. All right. Let's move these guys here and see if we can't mix some fleshy bits. I think we did them in pairs. The stuff we did last time, we painted everybody that was the same pose together. I like this balding looking dude. We're gonna paint this guy. That's gonna be our candidate. How many are there? There's 3 of them. 3 of the guys in the same pose. That'll work. And the reason I do that is so I force myself to paint their clothing differently. You know, I'm making a conscious effort of painting them differently when I'm painting them back to back to back. All right, so our flesh mix. We've got this red leather, as always. We've got, and we're going to mix it with some black here. Gets the magic drippings, also known as Vallejo airbrush thinner. And let's paint these guys, just the fleshy portions of them. More bare-chested folks. Like they're all hanging up here on the Lido deck. Bare-chested. This first coat's always has the most amount of paint on it, because every little portion of it gets this color. It's not where you're just touching the highlights or anything like that. Just the whole darn thing gets covered in that. And just disclaimer, don't know how long I'm going to be on here. It's just shy of 8 p.m. I went to sleep really, really early last night. I was going to start painting at 8, and I just didn't have it in me. I was falling asleep. Oh, not last night. I'm sorry. The night before. Yeah, last night was last night was a deal breaker. No, we got back into town on Sunday. Probably close to 4 p.m. and still didn't get around to paint. Yeah, mornings work best for me. See, right now I'm just falling asleep. Mm. All right, let's add a little bit more red to this, red leather. I found a PDF version of DBM, but it's the older version. It's from one from 2007. But that, of course, is somebody who decided to be nefarious and put something copyrighted on the internet. Which is, I don't have a problem with them being on the internet as long as people pay, to give the guy some money. So. But there's some people that are just gonna get it and not spend any money on it. Back when we were doing 2.2, I bought, I think, 3 copies of 2.2. So I actually found a copy of someone had nefariously put a copy of 2.2 on the internet. And I didn't feel bad about using because I'd bought the game 3 times over, and it was handy to go ahead and have that on my phone or whatever. So if I needed to access it for Army List or whatever, you'll start, dreaming like, oh, I wonder what those guys have. And you go and look them up. But I'm always going to want to buy it if it's available to be bought. But sometimes it's not available to be bought. There's a Warhammer Ancients Battles book I've been looking for a long time. I have 4 of them. I have no intention of ever playing Warhammer's Ancients Battle. Never have. But they're really cool books and they give you a lot of inspiration. I've got the one from El Cid that I bought way back when they were still being published. Because I used that as a reference for my first DBA army, my feudal Spanish. Back in 2004, I guess. 2004, 2005. Book was still being published. I have that one. I've got the one on Hannibal and the Punic Wars. I've got the one on Beyond the Golden Gate for Byzantium. I think that's all. And then by the time I wanted to get more, they're all out of publication. So when I was doing my Hungarians, I really wanted to get a hold of the Vlad the Impaler one, but it was impossible to get a hold of. And lo and behold, somebody put it on the internet. I don't know how long ago. So we'll use that as a reference for my my Valachians. Actually, I've looked through it. It's not that inspirational, but it's a really good place to have like the timeline of events and stuff on there. They do a really good job with a lot of stuff. So, all right, let's add a little bit more red to this guy. But I don't mind buying multiple copies of something if it's for convenience. Like Sue Barker's book on starting playing DBA. I got that on I have it on my phone. And I used to carry that around quite a bit. Because it was a way to get the rules to make them portable. So, it's $10. It's worth it, I think it was $10. It was really inexpensive. Yeah, I don't know how long I'm gonna make it. We'll see. We'll see. Mornings are so much better, but it'd be a long time before another morning would be available. Wouldn't be until Saturday morning. Guy's got some kind of a mohawk or whatever. He's got a mohawk and he's got a beard, kind of like Abraham Lincoln, but he's bald-headed, so it doesn't connect to anything. He's got a floating beard. I used to know a guy who had a floating, what are those things called? Sideburns. He just had sideburns that were just floating in the middle. He shaved his head and he didn't have a beard. He just had these floating sideburns that were like, I guess they were like 3 inches long or something like that. Okay. Everybody needs a style, I guess. This guy just has a floating beard. Oh. Yeah, but cutting up that book, that left a really good taste in my mouth. I feel a lot better about buying something and then knowing that if in the process of using it, I'm not going to destroy it, you know. CJ Hobbyfly, there you are. Long time no stop by. Welcome back. I get it, though. I mean, there's people I'm subscribed to that I rarely watch their stuff anymore. I'm just too busy making my own stuff. Hey, it's better than people going on there and causing turmoil. Mr. Rick, welcome, the lurker. You posted something the other day that I almost commented on. I forgot what the hell it was. No, I did comment on. You had that one video that reminded me of that Clayorama. So, kicking it back to about 1990 or 1991, there was a small show that was here in Tampa. And we decided to go down to that show. And the store I was working at the time, decided to be a vendor at this small historical miniatures thing. I think it was called Suncoast Skirmishes. And that was back when, see, what would I have been? In my early 20s? That's back when I was stupid and I was a night owl and I would stay up all night and shit like that. So, this some late night game, we sat around this table and this guy pulled out this game called Clayorama. And apparently I thought it was a homebrew, but it was actually some TSR thing that's in Dragon Magazine or something like that. So anyways, you get some Play-Doh, right? And you create your creature. And it's really simple. It's like a D6 system, and you basically make a creature, and the GM says, okay, your creature looks like this, so it should have these powers or whatever. Okay, so you need to be, like if it looks like something that flies, it probably moves faster, that kind of stuff. All right, and it moves, and there's no like tape measuring or anything. It just moves like in hands or whatever. So I guess if you got big hands, your creature gets to move farther. Anyways, it's tongue in cheek. Have a couple of beers while you're playing the game, kind of thing. So I remember I had red, and I created some frog with a big tongue or something like that, a red frog or whatever. And he's like, yeah, you get your skill is like a poke, and a poke is like you go up to another creature when you get next to them, and you get to take your finger and poke into the creature, and it does a certain amount of damage, whatever. Like I said, it's super tongue-in-cheek. But anyhow, it was late, and what we did is we took all the people here from town that we all knew, and we all ganged up on everybody else. And, it was funny until some guy ended up creating something that looked like a pyramid or whatever, and the GM just basically said, like, you don't move at all. Like, he made a creature that just wasn't much of a creature. But anyways, that's all I remember about Clayrama. But, I played it one time and, with a couple of beers and had fun with that. So, had to look up Clayrama thing. It looks fun. Play-Doh and toothpicks. Yeah, you need a toothpicks to hold them together. Mohawk and beard sounds like my Skyrim character. You still playing that? Yeah, I tried. Is Skyrim the same as Elder Scrolls? I don't think I played it as Skyrim, but I did play Elder Scrolls. I just didn't like the look out of it. Like sometimes you find a game, and I've done a fair amount of video gaming, but sometimes you find a game and everybody's like, man, this game's awesome. And then you turn it on and it's like, it's really not for me. And that kind of happened with Fallout. Is it Fallout 76? I played a demo of it and I'm like, I don't like this. It doesn't appeal to me. I don't know, just the look of it. I actually liked the background story of it, but it was just kind of it was almost kind of like the same images over and over again repeated. I don't know. And that's how Elder Scrolls was to me. I didn't really like the look out of it. But that's fine. It's, if it works for other people. And then some games will just captivate you. I remember what was that game that came out? Half-Life. I heard so many things about Half-Life, and around 1999, 2000, it had already been out for like a year and a half or something like that. I ended up going late on a Sunday, like at 9 o'clock or whatever. I think I went to Walmart or something like that, and I bought a copy of it, installed it, stayed up all night playing. I had to go to work next day, didn't care, didn't get any sleep. It was freaking Elder Scrolls 5 is Skyrim. Oh, okay. Yeah, so I stayed up all night playing Half-Life. But, it's just different times. The more video games I play, I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool for a while, but, like we got one of those, what do you call one of those, the virtual reality things? The Oculus. My wife thought it was a good idea that we would get an Oculus. And it's really pretty cool. I had a really bad impression of what it was going to be, and it's actually really pretty cool. The bad thing is there's not a lot of games for it, and not a lot of games really that interest me. But there is some Walking Dead game, and it scared the crap out of you. And it's not really meant to be a scary game, but I'll tell you what, it's a cheating game. And what I mean by a cheating game is you play these games where, you've got to say you started an area and you've got to clear things out. So you're methodical about it, right? Because you don't want anybody appearing behind you. So methodical. Okay, we're going to clear this out, and then before I go into that area and go in 5 different directions, we'll clear this corridor out, and then you're methodical about it, so nobody can appear out of nowhere, right? But then the computer cheats, he still creates things behind you anyways, and it scare the freaking crap out of you. But that's actually a pretty good game. It actually looks really good. It looks really good. And because I'm like, virtual reality, that's not going to look that good. Nah, it actually looks pretty good. The problem with it is the battery only lasts you can only play it for maybe an hour and a half straight, which is fine because you need some time to, otherwise, I don't know if you get dizzy, but you need to give yourself a break. But it's pretty cool. But it got to the point, that game's actually pretty stressful. It's a game where, you got to find weapons and you can craft things and stuff like that. But every single weapon you use loses durability and will eventually fall apart. So let's say, for instance, you're walking around and you find a shoe. or you find a piece of lumber, and you collect these things and you throw them in your backpack. And as you're throwing them in your backpack, you literally have to do the action of putting them here. So you're very involved in actually what you're doing. You're physically doing the things, and you could grab a gun and grab it with two hands, and it's very immersive. But everything you build, like when you build like a bat, the bat's good for like 6 whacks, and then it's just pieces. So you have to constantly find other things, or the materials are going to break down on you. So you end up getting a good, you end up having a couple of sides. You can have like you could make a pistol, and you can put it in your holster. I think you put it in 2 different places. You can put a screwdriver. So you're all set up to go in. You're used to like dealing like 1 or 2 zombies or something like that. And it gets to the point in this one game, like in the middle of the game, you turn a corner and there's like 6 zombies. And you can't deal with 6 zombies, because even if you could deal with 6 of them at a time or fight them off, whatever weapon you have is going to fall apart on you before you get to the last one. So you're going to have to like somehow run. It was really stressful. It was really, really stressful. Like, I don't need that in my life. So I stopped, but I did play it for quite a bit. But, So I sent you a download link and Messenger for my copy of DBMM Rules and Army List, if that's useful for you. Excellent. I will take a look at it. But yeah, so I know there's one particular, I'm going to call it a shooter, although it's not really a shooter, game that I've played for a long time. And, you get these people that'll say, like, no, I need to be more difficult. It's too easy unless it's at the impossible level. And I'm like, do you guys even have a job? Do you have any challenges in your life? I don't want it to be a cakewalk, but man, I don't want to like be freaking stressed out big time. Do you have nothing to do? I know those games are fun, but a lot of times, games are basically a treasure hunt. Whatever it is you're doing, you're trying to buy better, you're trying to find better equipment, trying to improve yourself, improve your characters. And if it's a really long time between improvements, I kind of lose interest. And it doesn't mean that I'm going to play the game 10 hours, but after you've played the game a lot, it's just like, okay, it's time to move on to something else, But anyhow, I don't play video games much anymore. A lot of times just feel like you're just fixing problems and running around from one problem to the next. Like, give me a second to breathe. Yeah, there's some cool stuff in the DBMM books. I mean, we would like all that stuff. We'd like all the, you set up for, a battle and it ends up being in the rain. You weren't expecting that, or, all those uncontrollables. Some people would hate that. We like that, because the other guy's suffering too. He's suffering along with you. Oh man, I got my feet wet, Get this suffer together. You've been playing a lot of Total War Empire lately. That's the one that's like 7 Years War, right? I haven't played that one. A friend thought it might be fun to get me into a league. First battle was a walkover against him. Yeah. I like playing video games. I don't really like playing against people I'll never meet. It's a little too... There's no honor. Some people just cause all kinds of trouble for you, and then when things aren't going their way, they'll leave the game, Total War Empire. I haven't played that one. That one came out after my computer crashed. I started with Total War Rome, the first Rome, and the medieval one. Or, I'm sorry, the medieval 2, technically. And then, what else came out? There's the expansion that had the New World and England and stuff like that. Not the Britannia one, but the... I forget what it's called, but it had like the conquistadors and the Aztecs and stuff like that. I played that one some. And then my computer crashed. And then when I went back, I got the Rome 2, which it got so much more difficult. Like I'm worried about, creating children and, all these political type things. And, I'm not much on that. But I did get the Rome 2 because it was just too damn cheap. And I got the Three Kingdoms one because I love that Three Kingdoms period stuff. But to be honest with you, I haven't played it much. It's all the battles turn into the same thing. You basically have a line extended as needed that hopefully it holds while your cavalry comes behind them and hits them in the rear and crushes them from both sides. That's what every battle turns into. And if you can't do that, then you got to play some kind of a keep away type thing. But, they do. Oh, and I have the samurai one. The samurai one was, I guess I got it free. It was just coming out at the same time period that my computer crashed. And all of them have really, really nice music too to have in the background. So I remember the Rome one came with a soundtrack. And the first DBA tournament I ran was a Rise of Rome, and I had that CD playing in the background. CD, you remember those things? Yeah, really nice music those games have. Really nice music. I remember several years ago, I was really curious about this particular game. It's like a horror game. I forget what it's called. So I ended up going and watching some guy doing a YouTube video of it. I couldn't watch it. It was too freaking scary. It was just way too freaking scary. Like dark, things popping out on you. Your arm with like a freaking broken knife and you're fighting demonic things with horns. No. No. Empire had biggest map to conquer. Empire spanned 1700, so yeah, it's your wars. A lot of opponents just quit. Yeah. Strong winds limits your bow range. Mud becomes rough for knights. Fun. It is. If both people are suffering together. Just when you think a game's going to turn out a certain way, joke's on you. It's not going to turn out that way. Some people don't like that. We embrace it. My favorite of the Total War games so far has been this mod they had for the first Rome. It was called Europa Barbarorum. And other than it took forever to freaking load up, like when you start the game, it literally would take 3 minutes to load up. It might have been because I had an older computer at the time when it came out. But it was just freaking really difficult to, you needed a lot of infrastructure to keep your starting army going. Like I like to play Pyrrhus. And Pyrrhus has a pretty freaking good army, but he has zero infrastructure at home, and he's got like only 2 provinces. So all of a sudden, it basically becomes a game of you need to husband your entire force and like minimize your casualties because you'll never be able to afford to rebuild them. So that became a nice challenge to do it that way. Like you've got like one unit of elephants, and I mean your land has zero infrastructure, so you can't build elephants for quite some time. So if you lose them, they're gone, right? So you keep them in the back, and you only hit them. You only go after people when you absolutely have to, and you have an advantage. So it became really interesting handling that way. But yeah, I remember the first Rome Total War. You're playing Egyptians, and they look just like the Tutankhamun instead of being Ptolemaics. It's like, it's not going to fly. It didn't take long to be like, that's not going to work. But I think I played two. There's one called Rome Total Realism, and then the Rome Europa Barbarorum, which was even better, I think. I think in the initial second Rome, you got to fight the Samnites or something. And those sons of bitches were a lot more difficult to deal with than I would have thought that they would have been. In the game. But I use those games just kind of a distraction, inspiration to do the miniatures. Not to take the place of it. Now, of course, talking about video games, what is the worst video game you guys have played? The worst video game I can remember playing, and that goes for console games as well. The worst video game I remember in recent ever playing, and it was a giveaway. They've got, I think it was on the Xbox or whatever. They were like, hey, we're going to give this thing away. It was a game called Watch Dogs, and it is a horrible, horrible game. Or at least it doesn't appeal to me in any which way. Definitely the worst game I've ever played that I can remember. There's been some dogs that I played, but that one was pretty bad. That one was bad storyline and gameplay that doesn't really interest me at all. It was bad. And I remember way back when, what was that game that was really popular the back of the 2000s, where you play like a SEAL team type guy. Silent something or another. It was a Microsoft game or whatever. It's got the guy that's dressed in all black, and he's got like this vision thing on his thing. They made a whole bunch of them, and I never cared for them because you have to go assassinate people, and it wasn't the bald headed dude. But Splinter Cell, that's what it is. E.T. on the 2600, was that crap? I know what the 2600 is. 2600. There's one game. I had one of those. Of course, I got one not when it was popular. I got it after it was popular. I got it in the later 80s. And Pitfall. I had this one game I was really good at called Sequest. You were like a submarine, and you had to like go after sharks and other submarines and stuff like that. It was, if you went off the left side of the board, you'd come up the right kind of thing, and you just had to keep going. It was an Activision game, and I remember in the back it said, if you scored more than this, send your name in, whatever, to get the highest score. I ended up like tripling that high score. That's like the only video game that I was like really, really good at. I don't know why. I'm not one of those people that, is just brilliant at video games. I'm not bad, but I'm not, I get bored easily with stuff like that. I don't like jumping games. So anything that involves like jumping, like Mario Brothers, that kind of crap, No, I'm not. They're extremely stressful. A game where you know exactly what you need to do, but somehow you miss it by a bit, and you have to play the same thing over and over again. Nah, it's a bit too much Groundhog Day for my taste. ET 2600. I don't remember that one. I remember Berserk. Remember Berserk? Don't touch the wall. And you had that. If you played long enough, the main bad guy would come out, Evil Otto, and he was a smiley face. He could go through wherever you want. If he touched you, it was over. Berserk. Yeah. I don't care if it's supposed to be more realistic after depth. I just want to hack and slash without creating or finding a new weapon every other enemy. You enjoyed Civilization back in the day. Oh, the first one? I played that a bit. A little annoying when it's like, oh, look, it's the Aztecs and they have a battleship. No. Or, Stalin wants to talk to you and you'd get the MIDI sound. Bump, 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 bump. If you played crappy graphics, when EGA came out, you have whole 16 colors. It's like, man, that was a big deal. That was a big deal having 16 colors, Love Civilization 2. Played that for hours on end on the PS2. Never had a PS. When it was time to get it, I was like, the Xbox won the console wars for me. They just had more games that I cared about. That's really what it boils down to. Which controller you like better and which one has more of the games that you want to play. Because some are exclusives and some aren't. But I remember way back when, I had a friend of mine who had a Sega Genesis. And man, when the Sega Genesis came out, the Sega Genesis was really freaking cool. It had a good controller, had cool games, had good graphics for the day. There was a space battle game called Star Control. That was a freaking cool-ass game. And had this campaign mode where you would start off at these two little... the map was kind of like a helix. And what I mean by that is almost like a DNA strand, if you will. But so you don't know how the points are going to connect to each other. So like you might start here and the computer might start over on the other side. And you don't know how they connect to each other. So you can either build a unit or colonize the planet or, some real basic campaign game stuff. And depending on what side you were, you could create different ships that have different abilities. And it was a little bit like DBA in that, the really crappy thing was like deadly against the really big thing. The ones in the middle were kind of balanced to each other. So there was different ways to play. And, when two ships got into combat, there'd be like this big black screen. Then when they would travel towards each other. When they got closer, the screen would zoom in more. And they would zoom out and would go off ones. It was a really freaking cool game. It's called Star Control. Played it a lot. So, yeah, it was a good memories. But there's all kinds of games that appeal to all kinds of different people, even board games. And there's a few board games that if somebody says, "Hey, let's play this game," I'm like, "Nope, I'm never playing this game again." I'm never going to play Third Reich. Rise and Decline of Third Reich, I'm never playing that game again. Burps and Gurps and Slurps and Derps, and no, I'm not playing that. Takes forever, not good to look at, not my kind of game. Can we just play Axis and Allies and call it a day, But some people love that game. A buddy of mine loved that game, and I'm like, nah, I can't play it anymore. I'm not much of a strategic game type of player anyways. I like playing something a little bit more localized. I'm more of a tactics versus strategy. I can play strategy, but it's not my thing. Enjoyed the Mech Warrior games when I was younger too. I don't know that I played those, but I'll tell you what, the new Battletech by, Harebrained Studios? That freaking game is awesome. I mean, it is. I'm playing that one these days. It came out like 3 years ago. It is freaking Harebrained Brain Schemes or Harebrained Games or something like that. Supposedly one of the designers of that game is actually in cahoots with FASA, or the people that designed the original BattleTech game. And it's awesome. You design your mechs, you go into a battle, you can salvage so you can create other mechs. You get a weapon, so maybe you get a better AC5, so you replace it in yours, so you'll be better in the next battle. Pilots get experience. It's challenging. It's really, really good. I got it when it was like about a month ago, I guess. A couple months ago. It was like $10. I'm like, all right, so maybe I pissed away $10. Nope, it's a great game. Star Control had a raccoon character. Maybe the origin of Rocket Raccoon. I think you're thinking of, oh man, what is the game you're thinking of? I don't think Star Control had a raccoon character. Maybe it did. Maybe it did. Which is the one I'm thinking of? I'm thinking about the one that the voices was done by Mark Hamill. Wing Commander. Maybe you're thinking of Wing Commander. Dude, if you played the BattleTech game miniatures, you'll love it. Because it's just to say it, like, I knew how to play the game already, It's really, really good. It's really, really good. It's really good. But I didn't go and buy all the expansions. I just bought the basic game. I'm going to play that one until I'm bored with it. Then I'll get one expansion, then I'll play that one. But, yeah. It's just enough strategy and management and enough combat. And it's not real time, so you're not like running around like a maniac. But there is like, okay, well, I'm going to move this guy first because he's going to move, to put hits on him first, and then we'll double up on this other guy. And it's really a cool game. Just wait for it to come on sale, and you can't lose for $10. But I didn't go on. I could have bought like every expansion for like $40. But I'm like, I don't even know if I like this game. Let me just, because that'll happen is you'll just get everything for it, and then it'll just be overwhelming, and you end up playing none of it. So I'm like, let's just play the basic game, so I can appreciate the more detailed things after I have them. And yeah, it's a really, really good game. See, I do play science fiction. Occasionally. And if you've played any of the miniature stuff, there's a lot of the lore, a lot of the BattleTech lore is in there about mercenary companies and characters in it that you'll remember. You'll be like, I remember about that. The only weakness I see about the BattleTech game at this point is once you get better mechs, there's almost no incentive in using smaller ones because you never know what you're going to encounter. I mean, sometimes you'll get like the wrong information. Like you need to go in and assassinate this one guy. And the next thing you know, there's like 2 waves of reinforcements that you didn't even know they were coming. And you got to deal with them too before you even make it to the guy. So... Ultima. Any of you guys remember playing Ultima? I was playing with a guy. We'd take turns playing, and he wanted to sell all those freaking spears from the trolls. I'm like, Jesus Christ! I don't have. This isn't worth my time. I'm only making a pence on each one of them. I don't mind taking things and selling them, but it needs to be it needs to be worth your time. I was gonna get the reissue of Diablo 2, but I played the hell out of Diablo 2 to begin with. And then once I found out they didn't have multiple players on the same console on the screen like Diablo 3, you know, so we could do family play. I'm like, nah, I'm not really interested in playing it. And, you know, I don't have it in me to go, oh, hold on, I got to go back up to town and buy more arrows. I'm not buying no more damn arrows. You know, that's just a waste of my time. Battletech has returned. That game is awesome. If I remember rightly, there are lots of different areas in Battletech universe, different conflicts. Yeah, this one's kind of the basic game starts, you know, in the second Succession War. And I think there's some I don't know if any of the official things involved the clans. I know the clans was a pain in the ass. When you played them, it's like, you know, they had all kinds of cool stuff that, you know, they weren't really well balanced. So if they showed up, if you had an 80-ton clan mech showed up with an 80-ton inner sphere, it wasn't even close. You know, he would just eat you alive. But I know that one guy was telling me that was posted on one of the forums where he downloaded some mod that was some clan mech thing, like I forget what year, but you could like have vehicles too and stuff like that. So it's a really good looking game too. Whoever did the art in it appeals to me a lot. Yeah, give it a shot for $10. Can't go wrong. Can't go wrong. Alright, I think we're done messing with this guy's skin. I messed enough with what it is. I messed around enough of it as it is. There we go. English! Do you speak it? Alright. Played Ultima on my Commodore 64. Gave up playing video games years ago. Working on a PC all day, I don't want to spend time playing games on it. Well, I want to do fun stuff with my PC. The only thing I use a PC for at work is pretty much Excel. I don't really do much anything other than that. So, I don't even use it for anything even moderately fun. But there's lots of people like that. I kind of feel the same way about other things. I got to spend all day going in and out of outside and being hot. So on the weekend when I'm not at work, I don't want to be outside and be hot. I got no interest in being hot on the weekends. I'm hot enough Monday through Friday. What big plans you have this weekend? I don't know, sitting in the AC. But I don't spend a lot of time playing video games. If I do, I'll be like, I think on Sunday night, I was going to go paint. I just never got around to it. I'm like, oh, I'll just play video games for an hour. I made it 30 minutes. And I'm like, I'm done. I want to sleep really early. I want to sleep like at 8:30 or something like that. I was going to start painting about 8. That's about as early as I was able to. And I was just like, man, I just don't have it in me. It just seems like too much work. It's too much work to stay awake that long. I didn't get much sleep the night before. I didn't sleep well at a hotel. We were out of town. Got used to my Tempur-Pedic bed now. You sleep on a regular bed, you just feel like a whale out of water. That's the best way to describe it. You end up like crushing yourself. I'm not that big. I'm like, but still, you get used to it. So I didn't sleep worth a damn the night before. And I'm a real big fan of ceiling fans. So if I'm somewhere there's no air circulation, like a hotel room, I don't care how cold you make the hotel room. If there's no air circulation, it doesn't do me any good. I'll wake up like stuffy and stuff. Maybe we'll get this guy done tonight. That's a good short goal. Like complete this guy. That'll work. Raid on the phone. Why fight sleep? That's true. Just go to sleep. Alas, lunch break over. Better do some work now. They're always watching you. Lunch break. As I call it, holy hour. That's some of the most prized time on a work day is lunch break. Yeah, I don't mind playing computer games. I don't think they're a waste of time. Just get bored. I think watching TV is a waste of time. Because there's no thought going in it. You're playing a game, you're making decisions. I'll move this guy over here. Hold on, this guy fires farther. Let me hold on him. Wait till the next phase. You know, you're making decisions and you're constantly having an impact. You're watching TV and it all turns out the same whether you watch it or not. It just doesn't appeal to me. That doesn't mean I don't watch any, but I watch very little. I know some people that are addicts, even in this day and age, right? Which I think is really strange because I think that, in my opinion, I think people have become less addicted to TVs, maybe more addicted to other things like their phone and surfing around on the web, but, you know. But TV is just like you turn it on and they show you what they feel like showing you. You go on the web and you're like, yeah, I wonder about this. So you go and you find somewhere else and you're kind of in charge of your own destiny. TV is a little bit too much like you're being chauffeured through your entertainment. Like you don't get to choose anything anymore. I don't know. I'm not a fan. Not a fan. And certainly nothing live. Like, what's watching stuff live? Stop what you're doing and watch this now. No, it doesn't work with my schedule. I'll watch it when I feel like it. All right. This guy's got some kind of a skirt. I guess we should paint that. Let's get some off-white type color. You enjoy Curiosity Stream. The shows are something you pick up the subject matter of. You learn. I'm not sure I know what that is. It sounds familiar. Like maybe I've heard it on a commercial for it on the radio or something like that. Of course, I don't listen to radio either, so. This should work fine. You might need to add a little bit more of that. And let's bring some of that dark brown to mix in with that, so we don't have everything with a... Gonna have to go to 1:30 a.m. here. Oh, man. Why fight sleep? It's true. Yep. All right, man. Be well. Catch you next time. Don't be a stranger. Go get that BattleTech game. But not now. You might stay up all night. Go download it, and then you can play it in the morning, assuming you don't have to go to work. Really is a cool game. So once I get this guy done, I only have 13 more guys to paint for this horde. But, you know, they paint quick. I just don't want to leave this army. If I leave this army, I'm not going to go back to them. And I've done that with other armies, and that's kind of unsatisfying. So, to be fair to them, I'm going to finish these guys up. And the reality is these are figures I could use in another army. A book one, and yes, there will probably be another book one army that I'll do, or two, or three. They're not going to be next, but I'm going to have to do guys that are very different from each other. Like, I don't want to do, like, I wouldn't want to do, like, Assyrians and Babylonians and, you know, a bunch of guys that potentially could look very similar. Like, there's no big incentive in doing them then. You need to do things that are pretty different from each other. Like, you know, maybe, what are those, geometric Greeks or whatever? Assyrians. That kind of stuff. Stuff that's very different from each other. Not a big pull for me to paint a whole army of hordes of guys that are bare-chested and don't have much of color in anything. It's a little too much of the same thing. It's a streaming service. That's maybe what I saw. I saw it as a commercial then. Maybe it was announced on like Kings and Generals or something like that on their YouTube channel. That sounds like maybe where I heard about it from. That sounds about right. When my daughter was younger, I'd always pick some kind of a video and we'd watch it. Some learning type video at night to watch. There's a series called How It's Made. You guys are all probably familiar with it or whatever. Sometimes they'll be like, hey, how's something made? You know, something like olives. Like, how's olive oil made? And it came across, you know, sometimes it'll be something like, you have no idea what goes into making something. And if you had... if you had realized how much effort would go into make some of these products, I would have never made them. Like tequila or sugar. What a pain in the ass. I'm like, screw that. I'm not making that. Tequila's a freaking pain in the ass to make. Sugar's a massive pain in the ass to make. But yeah, it's good to learn. You know? I'm going to have to pull out some white out here for some extreme highlighting. See, it's already dyed. It's always the first color to dye. Seems like it dries out quicker than anything else. Nope, that's glazed medium, not white. This is white. Yeah, we're gonna finish this guy up and then we'll call it a night. Hey, we got something done. We got a dude done. All right, you see a detail his beard and his hair. And this guy's history. Ancient history. Think like the early Libyans had hair like this, where it's just like a lock. Okay. This guy's done. One down, 13 to go. That's going to be a wrap for tonight, though. It's almost 9, and I'm going to have a lot more coffee if I need to stay awake. I really don't want to finish that. I'm going to be tossing and turning all night. I'll still get to sleep. I just won't have good sleep. So, okay, folks. Until next time, thanks for stopping by. And check out that video that we filmed last night if you guys haven't done that already, if you're interested. See ya. Catch you guys next time.